Hello and welcome back to MCNN. My name is Lyric.
And I'm Salem.
And we're back yet again to spill the secrets of Secret Life.
As a general note, unfortunately Etho was sick this week and didn't upload an episode. He said that he plans to combine it with next week's episode because not much happened to him, but his absence is still felt.
Also, there was no filming this week as sessions 8 and 9 were filmed back to back. So any spoilers that may have been leaked for next session could be very accurate. Nobody checks Scar's Twitter.
As far as this session's events, this week was a good one for all the crime fans out there. Server members began stealing from everyone, suffered heavily from lag, as they prepared for the final battle coming soon.
I don't know, let's just keep stealing. Hello, friend.
Going well so far?
So far, so good. I'm just making my rounds. Yeah, making my rounds. Acquiring some goods.
Going through everybody's chest. That's what I'm doing. Yeah, that's why I'm over here.
That's what you're doing to ours too, huh? Cool.
If you recall, another fun feature that was added this season was the addition of spawner recipes and mob egg drops. Initially, creeper spawners were banned at the start of the season, but as of this session, that's no longer the case, and several players jumped at the opportunity to build creeper farms under their bases.
Look what I have.
Oh my gosh, I've just made myself a creeper farm. Is that what you're doing?
Yes.
Okay.
I thought it was a fun surprise. You already did it so fast?
I just converted my zombie one. It was very quick to convert. It's fine.
Oh man, can't a man ever make a creeper farm in peace and quiet? Oh my gosh, it's working. It's working. Oh, this is working so good. Come on, gunpowder, let's go! Let's go! It actually works. Oh, I'm so excited. And you have just witnessed my first mob spawner farm ever created.
Bending the rules is a Life Games tradition that only ever leads to more chaos and fun.
And speaking of fun, let's go to our field team to learn about all the shenanigans of the Hound on the Mound, B00-100, and all of his friends.
Thanks, Salem. This week, the Mounders were more than a little disjointed. As Joel succinctly pointed out, their numbers were 2 reds and a yellow. While answering the bonding question of the day, how do you plan to survive, B-Dubs told his fellow Mounders about his plans, and his corresponding nickname, Tripwire.
My new nickname is Tripwire, because I'm going to be setting a lot of tripwire traps.
Shortly into the session, B-Dubs decided to follow his red heart to form a big dog alliance with Martin. Thanks to a bit of miscommunication on both sides, B-Dubs didn't realize his team-up required abandoning the Mounders.
You know what he said to someone else? He's getting people into his Big Dogs Alliance, and he said that you had to forfeit your previous ones to be in it. So what's going on?
I did not forfeit! I did not!
Martin told Pearl that B-Dubs, supposedly, had left his Day 1 alliance. She, of course, was swift to confront B-Dubs about this.
Alright, here's your test, B-Dubs. If you're not in an alliance with him, you're gonna walk up to him, right, with me, and you're gonna tell him that you're still in an alliance with the Mounders.
You're right. Sorry, Martin. Pearl has something to say.
No, you have something to say.
Some quick thinking from Pearl had the Mounders lending B-Dubs to Martin. This kept good old Tripwire in their alliance. Never mind the trust issues this could instill in Martin.
You can go tell him that you want to be part of his alliance.
Yes.
But you're still in alliance with us. You just get to do under the table dealings, you know?
I say I renounce.
Yes, you say you renounce, but
3 times.
You're still in alliance with us.
B-Dubs spent the rest of the session placing his Tripwire traps around the server. Most notably, one that took out the majority of a newly respawned Grian's red health.
What? Ah! My boy! Ah!
Looking towards the other side of the molehill, this session also gave Joel plenty to do. He finished a huge amount of tasks this week, so many in fact, that it was the most we've seen completed by a player in a single session thus far. As Joel ticked off his tasks, the rest of the server got caught in the crossfire. His first task targeted Scar specifically, with repeated shots from an unenchanted bow. A TNT trap triggered remotely was his next assignment, followed by firing a TNT cannon at a base. Both were directed at the bestie's base, inflicting minor damage on Cleo and Etho respectively. Joel then had to make a straight shot, directly upwards, to damage a non-red player. After a few failed attempts, he spotted the perfect target, Impulse climbing Jim's tower. His final task of the session, damaging someone with the dog's attack, challenged him to prove he wasn't all bark and no bite.
Scott, if you let my dogs hit you once, I'll stop shooting you.
Oh, okay, yeah, you can do that.
Woohoo! Okay.
His success left him with a problem. There weren't any non-reds left for his task to target.
Everybody's red now. Well, I failed. That's it. I actually, never mind. I failed.
Okay, that's sad. Let me have a look at mine. Yeah, I failed mine as well.
Of course, our Mounders wouldn't be the Mounders we know and love without some eccentricities. Pearl's task for the session was to leave conversations in a dramatically unique way. A task she did her best at, but ultimately failed due to the sheer amount of conversations she was in, and more importantly, her yellow death. Interestingly enough, her task had a mirror task. Impulse had to enter conversations with Theatrix, a task he ended up failing as well as he entered his red life.
So you can think about it for a little bit and, go from there. Thank you.
Down, I'll give you a push.
Thank you. Oh, I'm already going. Thank you, sir. I appreciate
There you
it.
go.
That seems to cover the Mounders this week. Back to you in the studio.
Thank you, Antoinette. While the Mounders were trying to keep a hold of their most loyal dog, Scott sought out some dogs of his own. After seeing Tango utilize a wolf spawner last week, Scott decided it was time to put together his own wolf pack.
Operation Make Me a Ton of Wolves should be a go. How many wolves is too many wolves? That's the question. Now, most of you will die, but that is a sacrifice I am willing to make.
But with no bones in sight, Scott turned to the easiest solution to his problem, stealing the bones, and some arrows for Gem, from Pearl.
Okay. We've got 3 stacks. Oh wait, Gem wanted arrows. A minute and 30, I need to go.
And in other dog news, B-Dubs wasn't the only person Martin tried to convince to join the big dogs. Ow, ow! He also tried to fetch the Heart Foundation, Gem, and Pearl for his alliance, but no one threw him a bone. It was probably the fact that he didn't want to share with anyone else's alliances.
You can't stay in your current alliance, though. You would have to sever ties.
No dice.
Skizz had a good reason to be loyal to his team. This week was all about keeping the now broken Heart Foundation beating.
Thanks, Lyric. While the Love Island fires have calmed down, the devastation they left behind is alarming. The giant heart, once the centerpiece of Love Island life, has been completely destroyed. In a statement released by the Heart Foundation earlier this week, they indicated that they know the identity of the person responsible and would be taking action to avenge their sacred monument.
I have my entire crosshairs settled on that man over there.
What little kindness was left in their now broken hearts is reserved for each other, as the Harm Foundation banded together and turned their bloodlust on the rest of the server.
You, my brothers, I pledge.
Uh-huh.
The only way I will take a sword to one of you is if there is literally nobody
No one
left on the
else.
server.
Ooh.
Not
I pledge as well.
If it's the 3 of us and there's one other person, that one other person doesn't have a chance.
I pledge.
Our goal is to get this server down to the 3 of us.
Big B was tasked with using a mob to cause damage to a yellow, and Skizzleman needed to kill a yellow outright. So the pair teamed up against GoodTimeWithScar as planned. Tango, meanwhile, snuck around back to loot Scar's chests, and then everyone else's. Skizz started his assassination attempt on his own, sneaking around Scar before he saw his chance to strike. He got a hit off on him, but was forced to retreat. Skizz and Big B returned together, and Big B distracted Scar so Skizz could plant TNT behind him.
All right.
You're picking on the guy with the least amount of hearts.
The explosion killed Scar, and Skizz counted his task complete.
What's up? What's up?
Big B managed to complete 2 tasks himself this week, by summoning a skeleton to shoot Scott's major, and then striking a deal for Scott to shoot Grian in exchange for gold.
Yeah, so you have to get me to do 3 hearts
Oh,
of
so I have
damage
to get
to an
you.
unread.
Ah.
But then I need something in return for doing it, because that's part of the deal.
Okay, well, what do you need? And hopefully I got it.
He did try and convince Scott to go for Cleo, but Scott's friendship with Cleo is as strong as Big B's animosity. So Big B settled for the next best thing.
Do I just pick someone and go and shoot them a bunch?
Preferably Cleo.
Cleo's a hard one for me to do.
Yeah,
'cause-
okay, well, I mean, but Pearl has a lot of dogs, right?
Yeah, I mean, I was going to go for like Grian or Etho.
Oh, yeah, that Grian.
Unfortunately, He was forced to fail his third task when his inability to find an invisibility potion prevented him from executing the ambush it required. The trio teamed up with their fellow Reds, Martin and Gem, to launch an attack against Etho, Cleo, and Grian. Despite outnumbering them almost 2-1, their campaign against the castle crew did minimal damage. Perhaps it was Tango's abysmal luck this week that prevented their success. It certainly prevented his. Tango was unable to complete a single task or kill this week.
Well, I'll tell you.
His attempt to turn Pearl red was interrupted by Scar, and his solo Ender Pearl attack on the castle ended with him losing far more hearts of damage than he dealt when they released the hounds. Tango Tech's no good, very bad day continued, with him losing another 5 hearts to what we assume was a combination of fall damage and mobs, leaving him down to 2.5. The Broken Heart Foundation ended their week by breaking berry bushes, which now pose a serious threat to Tango's well-being.
Skiz, I think it's fitting that I just died to a berry bush.
Back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Harmony. During his unfortunate bout of bad luck this week, Tango also claimed to have never killed a player in the history of the series. Well, with the records we keep here at MCNN, we can prove that isn't true. Not only has he taken multiple lives, we also reported on his 2 boogie kills during last season's recap.
Just go on the chest, go on the chest.
No! Ouch!
He's, hold it, I'm dead.
He's better at this game than he thinks he is, even if he couldn't take out Cleo's team this session.
On the subject of Cleo, Big B made one thing very clear during his time on the server this week: his burning desire to kill his longtime rival. But Cleo wasn't really thinking about him this week, because she had better things to do.
Cleo's task this week was to be the server's secret Santa, classifying members of the Secret Life community as naughty or nice, and dispensing prizes or punishments to match. While Etho was an obvious pick for the nice list, Gem and Scar were a bit of a surprise. Tango, Pearl, and Big B made the naughty list after they messed with Cleo.
What happened to the Puppo Alliance, huh?
Your team killed my puppies, so I killed yours.
Oh, you want to go? You want to go? Oh, you set yourself on fire.
I didn't do anything to it.
This is dangerous games, Cleo.
While Cleo had their eyes on other players, someone else had their eyes on Grian. In an unexpected twist, Jimmy Solidarity returned to the Life series this week as a ghostly angel to guide Grian for his secret task. Jimmy's advice was often more humorous than helpful, with many of his commands only given for a laugh.
Say, Etho, do the zombie dance!
Etho, do the zombie dance. Sorry.
Etho, where's the zombie dance?
But he was still a help, acting as a guardian angel when red players like Martin tried to get the jump on Grian and his teammates.
What we have in terms of...
Just slow.
I think we should gather what we can.
To the right. This is too scary. I don't like it.
And while we still don't know where in the world Etho was, and won't know for sure until next week, we can piece some of his story together. At the end of the session, Etho and both his roommates were on a trip to the Secret Keeper when they were struck down by a band of roving Reds. Scar was among them, and though he'd been trying to turn over a new leaf this session, he ended up being the one to take Etho out, knocking him down to Red. Let's go to our field team to hear more about Scar's attempted redemption arc.
Thanks, Salem. After a run of task-induced villainy last session, Scar set out this time with a plan to smooth things over with the Red Lives by making a creeper farm to sell them TNT. This might have worked if his task hadn't been to sabotage 3 Red Lives bases. To complete it, he stole Joel's enchanting setup after using it, and then blew it up, gave Baxter an explosive dental overhaul, and broke B-Dubs' creeper spawner. Somehow along the way he turned red himself, but sabotaging his own base to complete his task never occurred to him. In an attempt to make amends after the task was done, Scar gifted B-Dubs an empty spawner and creeper egg. This seemed to mollify B-Dubs, which left Scar hopeful he has at least one alliance, shaky though it may be. Let's hope he's right. because there aren't many other likely allies around considering all the shenanigans he's pulled prior to this week. After last week's apocalypse, Gem started out her session with an apology tour, gifting Impulse yet another heart, applauding Tango's dramatic reenactment of last session, and gifting Pearl a camel egg. One of her many completed tasks this week had her kill a bunch of horses, but their blood was not all she had on her blade. Pearl and both her Scots were also introduced to the edge of Gem's sword this week. Gem also planted berry bushes everywhere for people to take damage on and spleefed Scar onto dripstone. In other words, Gem read her homework, understood the assignment, and aced it. Pearl might initially have been wary, but once the nature of Gem's task was explained, she was happy to team up with her.
I had to hit you with a sword until you blocked with a shield. And you never blocked with a stupid shield. And you have it right, you're holding it, it's right there. Surely first thing she'll do is this. No, apparently not.
Shield. I can't see it. It's like a tiny pixel at the bottom of my screen. I forgot, okay?
Let this be a reminder to Minecrafters everywhere. Even if you're using a resource pack that makes your shield less visible, you can still use it. Speaking of the Scots, Impulse and Scots Major managed to stay yellow for almost the entire session. Impulse's task wasn't inherently risky, as he just needed to enter 8 different conversations in 8 creative ways that ranged from moonwalking to pretending his mic was breaking up.
Right?
You alright over there? You got some constipation?
Of course, considering the server was half red to start with, that did up the ante a bit. Scott's task was to eavesdrop on the reds, provide bad intel to other yellows, and get them to act on it. Despite some sneaky around, he never did quite manage it, though he did manage to get the band their own wolf spawner, and helped Big B deal 3 hearts of damage to a non-red, Grian.
Get him, boys!
He also gave Grian a golden apple right afterward to make up for it. That act, along with gifting Scar a well-enchanted sword to forge an alliance with him, both demonstrate some of the many ways he kept out of other people's crosshairs.
How do you pull it off? You stay yellow forever. Nobody wants to go after you.
But yes, because to answer your question, all honestly, I have no idea.
You are just bulletproof.
Of course, actually letting people kill him, like Martin last week and now Gem this week, might also have had something to do with it. Perhaps seeking a similar level of protection, Impulse followed his lead, leaving Gem with 58 hearts and the entire server on red. Back to you, studio crew.
Thank you, Nursing Geek. With everyone red and ready for war, the server is looking much less friendly than it did 6 weeks ago at the slumber party. Basically, everything's set to blow up.
B-Dubs promised the besties that he wasn't going to attack them, performing a trust exercise at Grian's request.
B-Dubs.
Do we have a friendly red?
Yes, I'm friendly with you guys. No pranking.
Though at this point, B-Dubs had already rigged his own bedroom at the besties with 3 TNT minecarts with tripwire, taking 17 hearts from Grian when he later respawned. To be fair, it is his bedroom. Impulse built a piston pit trap under the Gem and the Scots staircase. It didn't manage to catch anyone, but he was later able to hide within the redstone to avoid a swarm of reds.
I'm still in self-preservation mode. I don't think I can attack anyone as much as I want to pull the switch on this.
Call that anti-red stone.
Joel placed moss-covered magma blocks around the server, and Scar in particular, for minor damage. Just because the floor wasn't magma didn't make it safe. Martin attempted to gravel spleef Pearl with his pit trap from last week at the Gem and the Scots entrance. Unfortunately for him, Pearl has a danger sense honed by Decked Out and jumped away just in time.
Scar trapped Joel's front door and the front of Baxter with TNT under a pressure plate.
Oh my god, no! How much of it is in there? Who would trap the big dogs like this? Oh, okay, it was just incredibly annoying.
The trap at Martin's did minimal damage to anything except the canine construction, though at least it blew up when its target was there. The trap at Joel's was set off by Scar on accident.
Then we just place a TNT block and a pressure plate, and there we go. Okay, let's see what else we can sabotage around here.
And, of course, here's everyone's tasks this week. Special points go to Joel for knocking out 5 tasks as a red name and doing a ton of damage in the process. The only reason he didn't complete task 6 was because there weren't any remaining non-reds to hurt. Once again, we don't know what Etho's task was, and we can't really make a good guess, so we'll have to update you on that information when his episode comes out next week.
And that should do it for this week's Secret Life recap. My name is Salem.
And I'm Lyric.
And thank you so much for watching. Be sure to come back next week for what should be a very dramatic finale.